The summer I remember most wasn't spent at a beach or in a big city. It was spent in my grandfather's garden. Every year, when school closed for the holidays, my parents would send me to a small village hidden between green hills and golden fields. The village wasn't famous. There were no tourist attractions, no shopping malls, no tall buildings. To me, it felt like the most magical place in the world, because my grandfather lived there. And behind his old wooden house was a garden unlike any other. Every morning, I would wake up before sunrise to the sound of birds singing outside my window. The cool summer breeze would carry the scent of wet soil and blooming flowers into the room. Before I could even wash my face, I would hear Grandpa's familiar voice. "Come on, sleepyhead. The tomatoes won't wait forever." I would rush outside and find him already standing among rows of vegetables, wearing his old straw hat. The garden seemed endless. Tomatoes hung like little red lanterns. Cucumbers hid beneath broad green leaves. Beans climbed wooden poles as if they were trying to touch the sky. Butterflies danced from flower to flower. Bees hummed softly in the morning air. And somehow, Grandpa knew every plant by name. To me, it looked like an ordinary garden. To Grandpa, it was a world full of stories. He would stop beside a tomato plant and say, "This one survived a storm last month." Then he would point at a tiny seedling. "This little fellow was planted by your grandmother years ago." Every corner of the garden carried a memory. Every tree seemed to know a secret. One morning, Grandpa handed me a small watering can. "It is your turn today," he said. I proudly watered every plant, or at least I thought I did. A few days later, I noticed one tiny sunflower drooping toward the ground. I felt terrible. Grandpa smiled. "You missed this one." I apologized immediately, but Grandpa only laughed. Plants are a lot like people. Sometimes they just need a little extra attention. Together, we watered the sunflowers, day after day, and slowly it stood tall again. I never forgot that lesson. By afternoon, the summer sun would turn everything golden. Grandpa and I would sit beneath a large persimmon tree and rest. He would tell stories from his childhood. Stories about fishing in the river. Stories about helping his parents in the fields. Stories about a time when there were no smartphones, no internet, and no rush. At first, I thought those days sounded boring. But the more he talked, the more I wished I could visit that world. A world where people had time. Time to talk, time to listen, time to notice the clouds. One day, Grandpa announced it was harvest day. To me, it felt like a festival. We filled baskets with tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, and herbs. The vegetables glowed under the summer sunlight. Each one looked like a small treasure. I remember biting into a freshly picked tomato. Its sweetness surprised me. It tasted nothing like the tomatoes from the supermarket. Back then, I only thought he was talking about gardening. Years later, I realized he was talking about life. That evening, Grandma turned the harvest into dinner. The kitchen became warm and lively. Vegetables sizzled in the pan. Soup simmered gently on the stove. The smell filled every room of the house. We ate together as the sun disappeared behind the hills. No television, no phones, just conversation and laughter. The simple meal felt richer than any feast. As summer slowly came to an end, the days seemed to pass faster. The garden remained beautiful, but I knew it was almost time to leave. On my final morning, Grandpa walked with me through the garden one last time. The sunflowers stood tall. The tomatoes were ripe. The bees still hummed their familiar song. Everything looked exactly the same. Yet somehow, it felt different, because I knew I would miss it. Before I left, Grandpa handed me a small paper envelope. Inside were a few sunflower seeds. "Plant them wherever life takes you," he said, "and don't forget to water them." At the time, I thought he was simply giving me seeds. Now I know he was giving me something much more valuable. A reminder. To be patient, to care for what matters, to grow slowly, and to appreciate the simple things. Years have passed since that summer. The garden is smaller now, the old persimmon tree is older, and Grandpa walks a little slower than before. But every summer, when the warm breeze returns and the scent of fresh soil fills the air, I remember those mornings. The watering can, the sunflower, the harvest, the stories, and the taste of summer. A taste that never came from the vegetables, but from the love, patience, and memories growing quietly in Grandpa's garden. Some people leave behind money, some leave behind houses. My grandfather left behind something far more precious, a garden full of memories, and the taste of a summer I'll carry forever.